that song.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Goodwill Podcasting with Connor, Dan, and Stone, your movie podcast that today is talking about a production company, Blumhouse. Very interesting topic for today's video, especially since we did a deep dive into their filmography and picked 3 different movies that are very different. We thought of this episode idea because Drop came out this weekend. We are not going to talk about Drop, but me and Dan have seen it. Brian, have you seen Drop?
No, as you'll probably find out later, I'm not going to cinema for Blumhouse because I've been let down all of last year. So
Okay.
they'll get my money when it comes on to streaming.
Okay. Well, Drop, me and Dan thought was just fine. Nothing too special. But anyways, we thought it'd be an interesting conversation to talk about Blumhouse movies, as they've already released, I believe, 4 this year, have 3 more coming out that are all sequels, which we might talk about in a little bit. Anyways, but what we're going to talk about today is kind of like an iconic film from them in The Purge. 2013, I think, is when it came out, The Purge. A very maybe underseen movie originally when it came out, but Mike Flanagan's Hush, which was originally a Netflix original, but now is no longer, and was very vacated from the internet for a long time. Everyone thought it was not going to be able to stream anywhere, but now it is, and we've watched that. But then finally, a movie that Dan recommended that I thought about watching when it released, but I did not, and that is Vengeance, directed by Bijak Novak, and that was in 2022. So very different 3 movies that we're talking about today, but I already talked to him. We have a guest on the podcast today, guys. It is Brian, Fears Ghosts. Very first time on the podcast, the very last member of the Dead Screen Society that we had not had. And I've been waiting to get you on because that just bugged me really bad. So I'm glad that we're here with you.
I was starting to be like, what have I done to these guys that I'm not going to bring it on? Is it the accent? They're just like, we don't understand what he's saying, so we're not bringing him on.
So I understand you loud and clear, my friend.
Okay,
I will say that. But I appreciate you being on with us today. And 2 p.m. where you're at in Scotland.
Yes. 2:30 now, but yeah.
What does a Sunday look like in Scotland? What do you do? Because that's usually like the weekend for us. Obviously, probably the weekend for you as well. Anything that you do?
So very lazy. Like, it's now finally getting kind of sunshine. So I cut the grass yesterday, which was super exciting. The first time this year, so it was really long. But as with, I imagine, same all you guys, I mostly watch movies all weekend, so I can try and put out content. So I'm not really sure what sun is like. You can probably see how pale I am on camera just now because that light is shining off my face. So yeah, no sunshine here. Just stay inside, curtains closed, watching hopefully scary movies.
Nice.
I love that you brought that up. I've never asked these guys this, but I just come up with things off the top of my mind that I want to talk about. Connor, Dan, do you guys tan? Like when you out in the sun? No? Oh, you do, Connor? Damn, I'm jealous.
Oh, I thought you meant like, do we go tanning? I was like,
No, my bad.
Oh, that I don't do.
Does your skin get darker and not red?
I'm half Irish, half Italian, so like if I get really bad burns, which eventually will become tan, but it's a painful process. So
I was gonna say I'm pretty German, so like I burn, but my burns rarely hurt, and then it just turns into tan like 2 days later.
No, it's like the sun is on my skin dancing. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm the same. I
Like
go
a
out
scalding hot shower and scrub.
So where are you all based? I know obviously Dan's Philly, but I'm not 100% sure where everyone else is.
How did you know Dan was based in Philly? Because he talks about it all the time.
And he wears Eagles shirts all over the place. So
Yeah.
That's true.
So my girls are originally from Philly as well, so that's why I go Birds anytime he's wearing an Eagles shirt, because I'm a adopted fan.
Gotcha.
How do you know someone's from Philadelphia, Stone? They'll tell you.
That's true. Dan is very vocal about being from Philadelphia.
great.
Yeah, it's like the only similarity they have with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, except the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since 1996. So
The Cowboys have barely made it past the first round of the playoffs since then.
yep.
I also find it very interesting that you don't say what state you're from. You say the city. I would never say that. I mean, obviously, I don't live in a big city. I live next to big cities, but I'm from Florida, Brian. I'm in Florida. I'm in between Tampa and Orlando.
Nice.
So I watch like all my movies a lot of times. The last month or so, I've been watching them in like Disney Springs, like the downtown Disney area.
That's why I always say I'm from Cincinnati, because I won't defend Ohio, but I'll defend Cincinnati.
Good, because I think that's probably the only place in Ohio I would know. So it's handy you said that.
Maybe Cleveland.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense too, because I guess Florida has a really bad rap. I'm not a native of Florida. I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm not. I feel like I'm not grouped into the Florida talk. I don't know.
Maybe not so much. Like recently, it probably has leaked into the UK, the Florida rep. But before that, obviously, we all fly over to Orlando for Disney, so Florida was. We all loved it. It's just kind of recently that certain things have tarnished that reputation. trying to be as unproblematic as possible here.
I said, you probably said this on your podcast. Sorry. I know that you visited one of the coolest things that I've seen on TikTok is you visiting the United States for the first time because of Film Talk, because of the connections that you made here. I thought that was awesome. Just a fucking cool story that had nothing to do with me, but awesome. What is like the one thing that stood out to you? I'm sure you've said this to many people. I haven't heard it, but
like I loved like Texas. I was a little bit worried about because again there was a reputation, but everyone's like, no, Austin's like the one place you'll be okay in. I was like, okay, that's cool. But I think the first thing that I noticed was getting off the plane, like American flags everywhere, and I was like the whole airport is just painted in them. And I was like, okay, like I knew you guys were patriotic because obviously I've seen your TV shows and your sports events and things. But I was like, wow, okay, this is okay.
Gotta remember where we are, you know?
True.
It's all in America. Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, but like that's good. Like you wear your passion for it on your sleeves and your windows and your walls.
I say, to be honest, I don't have a single American flag. I don't think in my home. I do have this though. Do you know what state or what country this is from?
Bahamas.
Yeah. I say my wife's Bahamian. Oh, this is a great view of stone.
That's
Look at that
the only
chin.
reason I guessed that.
Sorry.
I think the only reason I'm like halfway decent at international flags is because I'm a soccer fan.
See, now I'm from Scotland, so I don't know what soccer is. We call it the correct name over here.
We have the superior football, though, Brian. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Sure, that's why your most famous player is definitely more famous than Ronaldo or Messi.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous player? Like, is that Mahomes? Who's the current most famous NFL player?
It'll be Kelsey because of who he's dating, not even because of his talent. It's just because his girlfriend is more famous than him.
Damn, I mean that's not a bad pick.
Yeah, that's probably
unfortunately.
Fair. Brian, I have a general question for you. How did your kind of love for the horror genre? How did that come about? Like for you, what was that journey like? Did that start as a kid? Was it through your family? Was it something you came to later on? Like,
so I think it was. I don't know if there was like an event that started it. I've always like seen horror on the TV and things, like Child's Play and stuff when I was far too young. But I don't think there was one event I was like, okay, I need to be focused on horror all the time. When I first started my TikTok, I was like, I want to do horror and 80s action movies because that was the kind of stuff I grew up on. But then for some reason, horror was just all that people sort of listened to. So I was like, okay, I'll focus on that. It just is something I always watched. Anytime I was going to a video store, I'd pick up the horror movie. It wasn't like on purpose or anything, but I do have quite a varied taste in movies. It's just changed recently because I now have to focus on horror. So I think I'm probably missing some movies that I'm like, damn it. So hear you guys talking about a movie and I was like, okay, I'll add that to my watch list. And it just sits there forever. Like I've still not seen Oppenheimer. Like, that's how far behind I am.
Damn.
I know. So,
what's the last movie you watched in theater that wasn't horror that you were really excited to watch?
Oh, jeez. Like I try and avoid the theatre. Theatres here, or close to me, are not that nice. So it's usually away for stuff on streaming. Other than Vengeance, obviously. Like I like silly comedies. So I watched Thelma the other day, and I thought Thelma was great. I was like, cool, this is so nice. I love this. So I'd say like there's I think maybe people think it's just horror we'll watch, and then like don't think I'm going to watch a comedy about an old woman getting scammed and trying to get revenge on that. I'm like, no, that's the kind of stuff I live for because I love little goofy comedies I can put on and just feel good after an hour and a half, especially after watching blood and gore for most of the day.
It's a nice palate cleanser.
Exactly, yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like the most wholesome movie I've ever seen in my life.
It is. It felt so good after it. I was like, okay, I'm a June Squibb stan now.
I'll say she's gonna be in another movie that's premiering at Cannes. Or is it Cannes? It might be Cannes. Like Scarlett Johansson's. Yeah, I think it's at Cannes. Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut starring her, which is crazy. She's like 94. She's like old, but she looks great. But age is but a number, I guess.
True.
It's funny because this is what we're talking about today is not my usual go-to. My wife told me, she's like, you need like a palate cleanser. Let's watch Emperor's New Groove tomorrow.
Solid.
Yes,
Good movie.
Yeah,
I watched that movie in Peru. Like that felt like I was on, like I had lived my life. I watched Emperor's New Groove in Peru.
Dude, that's my wife's favorite movie of all time. She probably watches it once a month. I'm not
It's a very
joking.
good movie. It's a very good movie.
yeah, it's bang on.
Also, that movie that Scarlett Johansson has coming out this year is called Eleanor the Great. It says after 70 years with best friend, Eleanor moves to New York City for a fresh start. Making new friends at 90 proves difficult. She befriends a 19-year-old student. And also, Chiwetel Ejiofor's in it, who's awesome.
Oh shit! Okay.
And Erin Kellyman, who played the terrorist hero from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And she was also in the Han Solo movie, right? So that'll be interesting.
Speaking of 94-year-old woman, this is really off topic, but I find it's a good place for a story. My grandma, before she passed away at 94, told me her favorite joke of all time. So I'm going to share it with the audience. And that was, there was this old woman in the nursing home, and she felt lonely after her husband passed. So she went around to the other rooms and started knocking on the door. Guy would answer. She would flip up her skirt and yell, "Super pussy." First guy said no. So then she moved on to the next door. Again, "Super pussy." He said no, thank you. She gets to the third guy's room and he said, "I'll have the soup." My grandmother told me that when she was like 93 years old.
Amazing.
That did not work for Stone, but I enjoyed it.
I got it. I was just there was a lot of puss. I don't want to say it, but that was a lot for a Sunday morning, Lord's Day. But anyways, we could talk about something that's also shocking, as much as that might be. Maybe not as much, but the Purge. we can get into that if you want. Brian, this was your pick, right?
Yes. So
What made you pick it?
So there wasn't like you guys didn't say pick a movie you really like. You were just like pick a movie. So originally I was going to pick Paranormal Activity, but then I thought, do I really want to spend half an hour with you guys slagging off a movie I love? So I thought, I'm going to pick a movie I don't really like, just to see if my dislike for it is the same as everyone else's, which judging by all the nods it is. Because for me, it's one of the biggest what ifs of horror, because I'm like, wow, that's a great idea for a movie, and then I'm like, this is what you went with. Okay, Jesus. So yeah, that was my choice. I just wanted other people to watch it and see if maybe you could convince me I was wrong, but it looks like I wasn't.
Have you seen the other Purge movies, Brian?
Yeah, I've seen them all in the first couple episodes of the TV show, and there's none of them I would say are good. They're all better than the first one.
Like a standout? Like, what is the best movie?
But I heard
I guess
Election
maybe
Year is
why.
pretty decent.
Yeah, there's one where it's like on a ranch instead, but like the stuff they hint at in the first, like I take it you guys are cool with spoilers and things.
Yeah,
It came out like 20 years, 10 years ago. So like they hint at that it's like to reduce crime and all these kind of things, but really it's about population control and getting the homeless off the street and the people that are like less fortunate. So that kind of plays into it a bit more, and then they're like, you can now start hunting politicians. So because the founding fathers decide that's a rule now, so they can take out the person that's against their political party, which is crazy. It's nothing that wouldn't happen in real life. After watching, I was like, wow, this is maybe a bit too soon for all the guys in America to be watching this. But yeah, they're okay to watch. They're definitely all better than the first one. The first one was a huge misstep, and I'm surprised that it got sequels. Again, mainly because like Blumhouse, which I don't know if we'll get into, but obviously their big thing was, here's a budget of $5 million, I think it was. And it was like, go and make whatever movie you want to make and then come back. That's why we got some stinkers, but then we got stuff like Paranormal Activity that brought in hundreds of millions. And it's like, okay, we can keep doing this then. So
it feels like kind of like a shotgun approach to filmmaking where you just like, rather than making, and I think there's some value in this, rather than making even like a $50 million movie where you're rolling the dice on, is this going to succeed? Make 10 $5 million movies. If they made this for 3, it made 90 million. It doesn't matter if you had 3 other flops or stinker. Like, even if this movie is poor, it's financially viable. You said you feel like this was a missed opportunity. What do you feel like? How would you describe the missed opportunity of The Purge? Like, what did you feel like this could be at its peak or ideal?
Well, I think obviously we haven't really spoken about the movie is, and it was 2022. I think it said at the start of the movie. The new founding fathers are a party that have come in because there was too much crime and unemployment, etc. So they've decided that one day or for 12 hours, all crime is legal, and then after that, it's back to illegal. So people can then do whatever they want. Murder's fine, up to like you're only allowed to use certain weapons. I believe you can't use explosives. Don't know why that was a cut off, but so I'm like, cool. That's such a cool concept that for 12 hours you can just do whatever you want. We'll see all this crazy shit happening, and then it turns into a home invasion movie, and we stick with one family the whole time, and they're not even an interesting family to stick with. And I'm like, oh, it's rough, and like it's just. I want to know what's happening even if it just been on the TV and it cut to glimpses, being like, "Oh, this is really cool. Here's some other stuff that's happening that's more interesting than this movie." But it didn't. It was just another home invasion movie. Like we've got The Strangers, which was garbage as well. So it's like here's another version, but with masks, different masks. Sorry. So
and legal killing.
Yeah, which again, like you could have done so many things with it. Like say, you could have been like an espionage, or it could have been like bank heist and everything that could have been done. It's just like, no, we'll stick to just murder. So cool, that's well thought out.
I was going to say, in my notes for this movie, I wrote down, has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I just think this is Jason Blum's methodology of budget compared to profit backfiring on him. Because I think the reason why you're not seeing everything is because that would be way more expensive. The fact that it is isolated in one location allows for a $3 million budget. That's why I believe in the second movie I saw that you do go outside and you do get to see more of the Purge because this movie made so much money. So it's a very kind of manipulative because that's why this movie made so much money is because the idea of the Purge.
Yes.
That's what people wanted to see. And they're like, oh shit, like this is going to be something very interesting, a very unique idea. And then, like you said, it just turns into a home invasion movie.
Because for me, like obviously, your viewers might not have seen my content before, but I focus a lot on found footage stuff. I'm like, The Purge is ripe for a found footage movie. Just strap GoPros on people and let them go and commit fake crimes. I'm like, there you go, boom, movie done. And that's not going to cost a lot of money. But no, they went for a home invasion angle, and it's just. Oh, well, I'm very curious to hear what you guys thought about it. Obviously, I read Dan's scathing review on Letterboxd, but I'm curious about everyone else's.
I can go because I just wrote a very short, simple sentence about this that I thought was pretty funny. I said that I think Trump would have really liked this movie because it's a bunch of people that have a concept of a plan. And I think that what was the downfall of this movie, which I don't think that you can do it any other way, is that this isn't the first Purge. I think it's like the 7th Purge. Yes. But what's annoying is the fact that it doesn't act like these characters have done this before. And that's because you have to tell the audience how this world works. Like I remember there's one scene where the wife, Lena Headey, Cersei, she's like, oh my gosh, there's gunshots outside. I'm like, no, fuck, there's gunshots outside. Like, it's the Purge. Like, what do you, your windows and doors are like brick right now. What do you mean? Why are you getting scared that there's gunfire outside? Isn't this a thing that happens in this world? And there's a lot of explaining over and over again, but it's the fact that it seems like nobody's prepared at all. It's the people in the house who are like trying to defend off, these intruders. They're not prepared. The people who are trying to kill them are not prepared. The second group of people who come in to try to kill them are not prepared. It's like you have 364 days and 12 hours to prepare for this moment. And y'all just fucking around. You act like idiots. Also, I have a rant. A lot of this movie is really stupidly this family separated, and I don't understand why. Yeah. The daughter in the family, for some reason, will not go to her parents, even though she's terrified, and there's no explanation why. And you get like 25 minutes after the boyfriend's dead, she pops up the little kid's baby car, and it's like, Henry's gone. Like, no, why are we still talking about that? Like, why are you not in the safe room with your parent? Why are you scared? There's a dude in the house. It makes no sense. Like, I was thinking about it. Like, it kind of is bad that these people are so rich because their house is so big that they can't find each other.
Well,
It's really.
I wanted to respond to two things you just said. Is one, when the wife was like, "There's gunshots." I think like maybe there's like a small part of the director that wanted this to almost be like a eat the rich movie type message. And so like where they live and like, you know, the money surrounding them, like they're probably not used to people purging near them.
That is true. That is true. That is something about this neighborhood that they actually did say. I did see them say that is that
The
it's not supposed to happen there.
Yeah, the latter ones in the TV show focus more on that. Again, I think the first or second scene's a big home invasion, but they are going after the rich in that one, which is what this movie should be. Is because if I'm sure for all of you lovely Americans, if you had the opportunity now to go and commit crime for 12 hours, you're not going to your neighbor's house. You're going to Washington, I imagine.
I'm just gonna go get me like a brand new set of golf clubs and then come home and hang out. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to illegally download a bunch of movies. I'll teach them.
Let's down the other thing I wanted to respond, and I'm not trying to be the Purge defender here, but you said the second group of people that came to get them weren't prepared. I think they were fully prepared because they had that family beat, but they weren't expecting the homeless guy to be in there who threw off their entire plan.
Well, I think they were watching it happen, right? They were they had their eyes on killing this family, so they should have been.
They also knew
They're
that
stupid.
group was only at their neighborhood and that at the family's house to kill that homeless guy. So they probably assumed, with Ethan Hawke's character already being dead, and then now, or did they kill him?
He's dead.
But I don't think they were expecting him to still be there.
Whatever.
I'm not trying to be a Purge defender. I don't have this movie rated highly, but
it was definitely a movie of like convenience and that, oh look, Henry snuck back in, so now we've got this scene where he dies, and then it's like everything just seemed to happen, but not well written for a reason. It's not like there was a setup and then a payoff later. It was just, here's this scene, and then that's going to help the next scene move along. It's like there's no real twists other than the second group coming in. I was like, well, to this point, I was like, if they'd been planning it from the beginning, how were they going to get in the house if the first group hadn't been there?
It was very predictable as well.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
This is also one of two movies we're talking about today where like the characters just lost so much aura after they took off the mask.
Yes.
I think like this is, I don't know how to say this in not a mean way. This is a movie written by an idiot, right? Like this is just written by a dumb person. Like this guy's first writing credit was the movie Jack, the Francis Ford Coppola movie with Adam Sandler. It's supposed to be one of the worst movies of all time. That was his first writing credit. Like this, Connor, what you're saying is right. This movie is positioning itself to be a like critique of the rich and the way they can isolate themselves while also funding like the weapons and home defense systems that everyone else has to survive the purge. The problem is, first of all, it's a home invasion movie. I don't care if the entire family dies immediately. I hate them all. They all suck. There's no tension because I don't care about the family. I don't care about the people that are attacking the family. They're all essentially the same. Like there's no contrast between it's the rich attacking the rich and then more of the rich come in. And it's like what is even the point? There's no satisfaction here in what you're seeing. And I think, you know, Edwin Hodge plays the homeless man, like the one, you know, black guy in the movie. He doesn't even get a fucking name, man. He's called Bloody Stranger. Like he just feels like a prop or just like a, you know, it's very odd. And I think there are so many questions like why does the son even allow him into the house in the first place? In what world would anyone ever do that? Especially, I think people in this kind of rich bubble or like with this family, like they wouldn't let him in the first place. But then once he's in, I mean, it's just everything feels so forced. But I think like the fundamental problem with this movie is like there's no contrast between the victims and the villains, and it's all just feels uninteresting, and there's no reason to care, right? And I think like it seems like the sequels probably address more of what the movie was trying to say, but this movie still is like kind of trying to say something, but it doesn't even have like the fundamental setup to do any of what it's trying to do. It's very, very odd movie.
So for me, like they had almost a perfect setup where he is like the best salesman at all these fantastic security systems. So they could have, if I was writing this, I would have said, okay, so the people trying to break into the house, your system failed last year. Somebody broke into their house and killed one of their parents. So now you've got a reason to go after them. But it's just, there was like, how easy was it to get in his house as well? Just took a car and then suddenly all their windows are wide open. It's like,
I thought the same thing.
Expensive system like that. I'd be getting a refund. That is awful.
What do they do with the car? It's like a big slab. I don't understand what the car did. You don't see it. They're like, oh, bring in the car. And then all of a sudden, like you said, the front door thing is gone. But then their windows were guarded too. But then I guess taking out the front door just did all the windows guards away as well.
Because one of the bad guys just pokes his head in the window, and I'm like, how did you slide the window open? Which is an issue I've got with Hush later on. Was why could you not just open a window? But we'll get to that later. I guess.
That's the thing too. Is this movie is not scary. It's not scary at all, and it's also not. It's funny. I think I bought it on Apple TV. I rented it on Apple TV. I did not buy it, thankfully. And when I think it said thriller, and when I clicked on it, or maybe even horror, but then when it said like action, when I purchased like renting it, and I was like, okay, it's like an action thriller. Both of those are very disappointing. No matter how I mean, maybe it would have been better if it went one way or the other, but this is just not scary. Like all these masks, it's not scary. They're just. I'm sorry, but if you look at this like practically, I know this is a movie. But if you could imagine these people just outside of a home, looking at by cameras, doing stupid shit, and imagining the people inside not even looking at the cameras, and these morons are just doing this just to freak them out, but they're not, you know what I'm saying, the residents aren't even looking at the cameras. You know, like these guys are morons.
Yeah, the biggest shock value in this wasn't even like their one attempt at a jump scare, which like Brian, I don't know how much you've listened to us, but I don't like horror, so I jump really easily at any horror movie. The one jump scare in this didn't get me. The thing that had way more shock value to me was when he was just talking to Ethan Hawke's character, and then his friend like just starts yelling at him and he just shoots him. That had more shock value to me than the jump scare scene.
I also think
sorry, you go.
Go ahead, Brian.
So the main bad guy, I don't know why he wore a mask, because he has one of those, like, he looks evil face. He's not maybe the best actor, but I was like, he looks really smug, and I'm like, you know what, I could see myself hating him just by his facial expressions. So why would you put a mask on him in the first place? But
in 30 years, he could probably play a great Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah.
I also
now, I mean, they were casting it.
I think he's really, really, really overacting. Yeah. Like, and it's just, you didn't have to do that much. I feel like oftentimes in a role like that, like kind of like less is more. Like the calmer and more intense someone seems, like that's more intimidating than someone who's just like acting so goofy and like, oh, I'm crazy, I'm deranged, like I'm like the Joker. Like it's just like those aren't the people that are scary in real life. People that are scary in real life, people that say nothing and then just will fuck you up. Like, so I just think like, it's such a mess. And I also think like, I think the movie ideologically is so strange because when you look at what the Purge is doing, it's almost reinforcing the side of like the government, because basically it's saying if you take away all the rules and you take away the people that keep you safe, right, which are laws, the police, firemen, the government, if you take us away, y'all are just going to all kill each other and act insane because human beings are inherently all murderers. So like it's trying to critique like the rich and all, but at the same time, and the government, but at the same time it's like still saying that they are necessary to hold society together. And if this was the case, if this actually happened, it wouldn't be like this. Like there would be a few nutcases that would get fucked up by everybody else. Like that's what it would be. Like it would be a few angry like young men running around trying to do shit they maybe wanted to do, and they would just be getting shot breaking into people's houses. That's what would happen. Like I just have a problem with the fundamental presentation of like the purge in and of itself. Outside of like the ridiculous ramification, like what would be the cost of cleaning up after the purge? Like it would be billions of dollars. Like it's absolutely absurd. Then you're like living next to people that tried to kill you for the next year. Like how does society even
Just
function on a fundamental
side
level?
eyeing them all the time, like seeing 330 days.
Like it's so stupid, and it's okay to have stupid concepts, but like when you try to present it in this like hyper realistic, this would actually happen way, it's just like this is just so dumb. I'm sorry.
What's the
I
law
also
if
think it's
somebody's
hilarious.
like? Sorry, you go, Connor. I'm interrupting everybody.
I think it's hilarious when people speculate about what they want to do if the purge was real. And like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say like 90% of people are just gonna hunker down in their own homes and like be terrified for the night.
Yeah,
Definitely. I agree.
I'm curious to what the law is. So, say for example, you're like, okay, I'm not really going to murder. That's not my thing. But I'm going to steal a car because I want a really expensive car. Do you return it after the 12 hours, or do you get to keep it because you stole it during the purge?
That's a good question.
These are the questions, Brian.
Yeah,
I feel like you probably have to give it back.
yeah. But like, I don't know why. Because like,
Like,
if you
if
kill,
the-
if
if
you
the
kill somebody,
theft
they're
is
not coming
legal,
back.
Like the theft is legal, so is that now your property? What's the point of the purge if afterwards you have to return it? And then what happens? Like, how do you get that insured? How do you register it? What like?
Yeah. Or like, how do you sell it? Because the title's not in your name.
It's just like I don't know, man.
I feel like they just did not think about these things when they were writing the purge.
Now James DeMonaco was not thinking about the insurance ramifications of car theft. I don't think. But
I'm guessing you guys like looked it up and like know how he came up with this idea.
It was
Right.
an episode of
No,
was it
it's,
Twilight Zone or something, or Star Trek maybe even.
it was his. No, there's an episode of Star Trek that's like it, but no, it was his wife. They got into like a rage incident with his like wife was in the passenger seat, and I guess him and whoever he got in an altercation with actually like got in a physical confrontation, and he like held the guy down until the police came or whatever, and then got back in the car, drove away with his wife, and his wife was like, "Man, don't you just wish there was one day we could just one day a year we could just, get us one?" And he's like, "Yeah," and then that's how the Purge came out. That's a legit story.
All right.
Well, it's a bit of an insight into his wife's brain. Like, yeah, man, I wish we could just kill people at least just once a day. It would be cool. Somebody cuts me off in traffic. I should definitely be able to kill them. What the hell?
it's so funny you guys said the thing about Trump, because literally while he was campaigning this year, he basically said essentially he would like something like the purge to be real.
What?
The direct quote was, "Now, if you had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough, the world will get it out, and it will end immediately." So everyone heard that and was like, "You're talking about the purge."
I've also got to wonder about like serial killers, because they don't just like want to do one murder. Are they so now like they're just by the books now? Like, I'll only serial kill one day a year, and like I'll be wanting to do it every other day, but I will contain myself because it's
Hey,
not legal.
welcome to
now,
Ohio.
So again,
Zero
Like I
killer
said-
capital.
I just hate that these people don't seem to have plans. Like, can I like plant bombs under everyone's house that I
So
hate?
no, so that is a law.
Oh, no
You're
explosives.
only allowed up to like I think level 5 weapons, which I'm not American. I don't know what a level 5 weapon is. I assume you get taught that at school, but
Can you look it up? I'm gonna look up level 5 weapons.
Yeah,
it may not be called
level
that,
5
but
weapons are like explosive RPGs, grenade
Hold on.
launchers, shit like that.
Hold on. It's just showing me stuff about video games.
Yeah. I think a flamethrower is classified as level 5. I could be wrong on
Well,
that.
Daggers, swords, spears, axes, maces, knuckles.
So, that would make for a good episode of the Purge. Like, you can only use medieval weapons. Go. It's like, oh shit, cool.
Dude, a medieval purge might go hard.
They did actually.
They did that with crusades and shit, but
I should have like came out with the facts, but they did actually have something like the Purge back in the day that took place over multiple days in history. Don't know what it is. I was kind of hoping Dan would come in with this knowledge and be like, "Oh yeah, dude, it's this. It was something in Rome. I don't remember what it was called. But Dan, sorry, I didn't come with the facts.
That's
I
okay.
apologize. I'll try to figure it out as our episode goes on. We'll just be talking about vengeance. I'll be like, it was this. I figured it out, guys. But Brian, what do you? I mean, you have Letterboxd, right? What do you have this rated as?
I think I rated it. I rewatched it, as I said, for this. I think I put it in as a 1 star, maybe 1.5, just because of how much I was let down, and then it was just an absolute nothing movie. Home invasion movies in general are kind of garbage because you have to like dumb down your people that are getting their homes invaded to, and it's just like I don't know. It was so disappointing. And like, and if you're the head security guy, you're going to have better weapons than that. I think if I'm like, if my house is that massive, I'm having like turrets and stuff on the side, and like, I'm gonna have everything
It's
I can.
like Indiana Jones booby traps. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good thing we're only talking about one home invasion movie today, right?
Yeah, have a moat around the house or whatever. But like, it's just it's so disappointing. Like, there's so many ways I think it could have gone, and I'm not a professional writer, but I'm like, I could have done a better job. And it's
also,
not
wasting
scary.
Ethan Hawke is like so painful because he's such a good actor, but like, why is he
even like Lena Headey? Like, I don't think Game of Thrones would have been started then. I'm
not sure. I think this came out 2013.
Yeah.
I say Game of Thrones started 2010, so she wasn't at like it was. She was getting there with the height of popularity. It was a good idea for them to cast her.
Yeah. And I was also really, I don't know about you guys, but the daughter in the school uniform, and I was like, why do you keep zooming up her skirt every time she's lying down with her boyfriend? If you're implying she's just, I'm like, dude, can you chill on this a little bit, please?
Yeah, and they like aggressively tell you she's a minor in this.
Exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like he needs to be purged, I think, for that.
Also, I can't tell if she's like upset about her boyfriend or not. Like, she seems emotional, but then she's also like, I can't remember his name, like, Jimmy, why the fuck do you try to kill my dad? But she's also like really
She
sad.
doesn't have appropriate reactions to anything that happens.
No.
And no motivation to speak of. She just kind of wandering around. So,
and like that final scene is so dumb where they're just sitting around the dinner table.
Yeah.
No, like she's just letting her kid. Like, I get like grief, but like she's just letting her kids like hold their dead dad's like hands and like cry. Meanwhile, the people who tried to kill all of them are just sitting 8 feet from them.
And like, are they just going to go back because they won't go to jail because they didn't commit a crime, so they're just going back to their house and then they'll be like, see you in a year's time. Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, how does society even function? Like, there would be no trust. Like, I think like societies are built really on community and like trust, and like that is another fundamental thing that the Purge, this universe ignores. Like, I don't know. The whole outlook of this bothers me.
Dan, what do you have this rated?
Like 1.5, I think. Just for Ethan Hawke, like the sequences of Ethan Hawke like fucking people up. I enjoyed that part.
Yeah,
like, he kind of goes in with the pistol, but outside.
I think I have this rated higher than any of you. I have it at a 2-star though.
You are a known Purge defender though, so.
Yeah, no, but kind of for what Dan said, I enjoyed the parts where Ethan Hawke is just fucking people up. And it's funny too because I've seen 2 other Purges. I've seen Election Year and I've seen the first Purge, but I haven't seen them since theaters. And literally, like, this was before I was even like thinking about movies critically or whatever. And I remember walking out of the first Purge and just being like, the soundtrack was really good.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity.
The YouTube videos I watched lie to me. It wasn't the fucking Purge that I saw in ancient Roman history.
It was probably Saturnalia.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Which is not.
They had the sharks in the Colosseum. Is that what that was?
The baboons at the Colosseum. No, it's basically they just abandoned social norms and drank all day. So it's basically everyone stopped working for like a while and just partied.
It was
and went on a bender. I'm down for that.
A week-long citywide bender where you could basically do whatever you want. It's what Christmas came out of, by the way. So,
hell yeah!
Not the birth of Jesus.
It's why Christmas is December 25th.
I got you.
Because Rome essentially was like, we need our own. When they started accepting Christianity, they needed their own holiday to like spice things up because people couldn't have Saturnalia, so they were like, well, there's this thing called Christmas. It's also fun. So they put it at the same time of year. So
I doubt that.
I thought Christmas started because a postman got sent to like the North Pole and had to deliver mail.
yeah, that too. Yeah.
Connor, you want to talk about your movie that you recommended this week? Another home invasion.
What did
Film?
you?
Oh,
Right.
it's a one and a half. It's awful.
Okay.
I just think everyone's so stupid, and they're
You're
trying
welcome.
to
You're welcome for everyone for me
tell.
suggesting that.
I needed to watch it. I
I'm
needed
glad
to
I
watch
finally
it.
watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to get it off my watch list, but and I had to clarify with the guys this week which one you picked because I almost watched the first Purge.
Dan, something that might interest you that I found out about the other Purge movies that I haven't watched, but is that the homeless man in this actually comes back and is like a more prominent figure in other movies. Maybe just one, but he's more of
Does
a
he get
character than probably. I cannot confirm or deny, but I'm hoping he does,
Nice.
which is cool.
Does he get a name?
I will. Let me
He's
get
he's
you the name.
upgraded to homeless guy now.
Yeah.
Bloody Stranger. Hold on. Oh, so he's in the Purge Anarchy and the Purge Election Year. Oh shit, he's like the main character.
No, because they get Frank Grillo in, so he's always the main character.
Hold on.
The old wise guy that learns how to survive it every year.
Guys. Okay, so the second one, he's called the Stranger. He really is. And the third movie, does he have a name in the third movie? Hold on. He is finally Dante Bishop. Okay, by the third movie, he gets a name.
Nice.
I wonder if that was part of his contract negotiations.
Yeah. Can I have a name this time around, please?
He's called the Bloody Stranger, and then the Stranger in the second movie.
Go shower.
All right. Are we moving on to Hush?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Worst movie in my opinion, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, literally the only reason I picked this movie is one of my friends who I worked with at my I'm still at that job, but previous location. He is like a massive horror movie fan. He won't watch like any other genre basically. And so I texted him like, yo, we're going to do a Blumhouse episode. Like, what's one that you think we should talk about? And he gave me like a laundry list of shit that we should have talked about. And then he goes, do Hush. He was like, I want to hear your thoughts on that. And he apparently is a massive fan. So I got to text him back.
Well, I think Hush is generally considered in a positive light. Like it's
and in the horror community, it's very well liked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like it, Brian?
Again, I'm not a huge home invasion fan. I don't love it, but I liked it more than I think you guys did. But I'm definitely curious to see why you guys didn't like it, because I'm easily swayed.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Stone?
Sure. I think that the idea of this is scary, right? It is deaf and mute, which it took me a while to figure out she's mute. I thought she was just deaf. And then she wasn't screaming. I was like, why is she not screaming? She's getting hurt. But then it came out that she was mute. And I was like, okay. But the fact that this man is just terrorizing this woman outside of her home, just fucking with her, is terrifying. But that doesn't mean it's entertaining or scary, really. It's like for a viewer or an audience member, if I held a gun into someone's face, yeah, that's a terrifying situation. But if I held it there for 90 minutes, it's going to die down a little bit. And you're just going to be like, okay, is there anything else besides this one incident that I'm going to freak out about? And I can't get over the fact that I'm not joking. Probably 9 or 10 times in this movie, she just notices the guy outside a window. And then there's a doom. And it's like, bro's just taking laps out there. I don't understand. I really don't understand. He is essentially terrorizing her, but he's not doing anything. The only time he terrorizes her is when she tries to get out, and then he's just like, nah, get back in there. Right? So I don't know what he would have done if she didn't try to get out. He doesn't actively try to really get in it, besides the very first time that she sees him, which is really goofy. She just like turns around, he's just like standing there, like just looking at her, and just starts bolting towards the door. She's like, okay, let me just shut it real quick. Also, the mask, like you mentioned it, Connor, why was it there? Like, he takes his mask off and it's on the poster. I guess it's just for the poster, but he takes his mask off in like the first 5 minutes you see him. I'm like, brother, why was it even in your script to begin with? Like, what are we doing here?
I wish it would have stayed on.
I don't
It
know.
probably was
It's,
for that initial scare, because if it's just you see John Gallagher Jr. just outside your house, you're probably not going to be like, oh shit. They probably just be like, oh, it's just another white dude with a beard. I'm not really. They're everywhere doing this podcast, seeing this podcast. So it's probably just for that. Oh, that's scary. Somebody's wearing a mask outside my house in the forest. That's creepy.
This
It's
entire
funny.
movie is that SpongeBob episode where he's just standing there menacingly. That's this entire fucking movie. Like,
Dude, I think the mask works so much better, and then like the face reveal could have been when the friend's boyfriend showed up and he started acting like he was a cop. I think that works. And like we could have identified him by like the neck tattoo or something, but
that entire scene, what was that
it's
scene?
weird. It's very
Why
weird.
did he believe that guy was a cop in plain clothes with no like?
He's also not very
What?
convincing. He doesn't talk like a cop at all.
No, it's some guy with a neck tattoo in sweat clothes with like like. I just don't, I'm not saying like profile him, but don't just believe he's a police officer because he tells you that. And then also the other woman's boyfriend. I hate like he's standing there with a rock behind his back so obviously, just like, what's up, man? Like right, like I hate in movies like that where the guy would be like, okay, clearly you're hiding something behind your back. Like basic little stuff like that really gets to me, and I'm just like. And then he takes his eye off him and allows himself to be just stabbed in the neck like a moron. Like I just.
Well, to be fair, that was Kate Siegel's fault for slamming on the window to get his attention.
I was gonna say I actually
she
kind of feel like
she
that
killed
makes
him.
sense. He looked away.
So.
Yeah.
It just makes. Oh, so he is essentially just keeping her in there to torment her, right? But did he do that to the like? Why is he there? Why does he have any connection with this woman? Yeah, he doesn't have.
He's
like
nobody.
Why didn't he torment her friend? It seems like he just ran her down and just fucking knifed her in the window.
Her door
like,
might be open, to be fair, because that seems to be his kryptonite. Is if a door's closed, he's like, well, I'm out of ideas now. Then. So.
I get it.
It did kind of seem like he was torturing her friend.
And also, if this was his plan to torture in her house, why was the weapon of choice a crossbow? Like, what are you doing there?
This came out around the popularity of The Walking Dead. I don't know.
That's how I felt when I was watching this.
Maybe in hunting deer, and he just had a really bad day, and he'd not killed any bucks. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna take out on some vulnerable woman instead.
Also, just like I just think the whole concept of like there's no connection between her and the killer. There's no rationale explained for this killer. I also think like I have a fundamental like this to me. Mike Flanagan said he wanted to make a movie without dialogue, which is why he made the character a deaf mute. If you should want to make a character you should want to make a movie about a deaf mute person and go from there, right? Because if you're gonna do that, you need to be the movie should be built around that concept. We talked about Coda relatively recently. This movie does almost nothing to portray her point of view because the woman can fucking speak and hear. Because it's the director's wife. Like, I'm sorry, it's corny as fuck to make a movie about a deaf person and then cast your wife who can hear and speak and then just do nothing with the concept of her even being deaf. Like, it just feels like a gimmick to then allow yourself to craft some scares and stuff. Like, you could have done so much with her perspective and you know, bringing yourself into the movie without sound. But he just has this like ugly ass boring score going behind a boring home invasion movie about traumatizing women, and then she just happens to be deaf and mute for the shits and giggles. Like I just also when he kills her friend, she can't see him out of her peripherals, or like she can feel the vibrations of the alarm. She doesn't feel a woman being slammed into the door and stabbed.
I thought the same
10
thing.
feet from her. Like,
yep.
Just if you're gonna do that and use like a disability like that, just like have basic respect and understanding. Like she doesn't even look comfortable signing. Like, come on, man. Like, just cast a fucking deaf actor. And she's also, I'm sorry, she's not good in the movie. Like, it's not a good performance. The character isn't remotely interesting. I don't care really what happens to her. It's just not good. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
I mean, there's only two scenes where like they try and do what Coda did very well, and it's literally the fire alarm scene just to like dump that exposition that she feels vibrations, so we understand why she just puts her hand on the deck later on, and then the literal end scene where the cops are showing up and you don't hear sirens.
Let me say a counter argument to that is you don't need to be told that she feels vibrations. You can, in your mind, all of us, because we got little brains up here, we can get the
Average.
fact that if she puts her hand up there, she's trying to feel where he's at. We don't need to be told in the beginning that, oh, I can feel I'm not going to do that, but I can feel the vibrations, right? So
Yeah,
the reason that I think they did that to me is just to show you the fire alarm, be like, oh, that might come back later.
Yeah, then even the scene later where she like uses it as a weapon against him, it literally you see her doing that and he reacts like to the noise. Then the movie like flips to her perspective and it's like she can't hear this. No fucking shit, she can't hear it. We've been following this deaf woman for an hour and a half. Why are you reminding me that? Like it's just so stupid. Like this movie really, really pissed me off so badly.
I
I'm
better, I
just like,
better,
why
I
doesn't
better
this guy
defend it.
just take a rock, break through the fucking window, and then if you want to terrorize this person, do that? Like, what is he doing? He's just walking around
also,
in the cold.
what is her front door made out of? What type of
Right?
glass? Because he couldn't get through it with a tire iron.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like, insane.
I
bought
will
some
I
of
will
that
defend
Purge
it a little
gear.
bit, just because obviously if I don't, I'll get a lot of messages from Horror Talk telling me you need to stick up for this Mike Flanagan stuff. When I've met Mike and Kate, and I like them both, so I want to keep on their good side.
I like me and Dan love like Midnight Mass. I like Mike Flanagan
One of my
shit.
favorite things ever.
Yeah,
I also
I'm
think
surprised when he says no dialogue because his dialogue is so good. Like people seem to hate the monologues. I'm like, no, give me more monologues.
that's the problem with this movie. Exactly.
So like the not knowing the killer, I don't have a problem with that. I actually quite like that in horror when it's just like there doesn't have to be a reason. People commit violence all the time for no reason. Same as like I don't like The Strangers. I think that's another shite home invasion movie. But at least in that, it's just like why did you do that? And it's like because you were home. And I think okay, that's kind of chilling because it could have been anybody there. Like that's I like there's no connection there. So that didn't bother me. Like it was kind of convenient that she was deaf, so he could terrorize her. What were some of your other gripes? I agree. It's not particularly scary, and it is definitely the deaf and mute part is just for the gimmick of it. But like, I think Mike was probably still finding his feet here. I don't know if he'd done anything. I think he'd done maybe Oculus, Absentia.
2013, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if
I don't think
Ouija-
Haunting Hill House had come out yet.
No, I don't think so. So like, because nobody really knew who he was. Nobody knew who his wife was. Obviously, they're huge now because he's like Adam Sandler and he always casts the same people. But I would rather work for Mike Flanagan, I think. But I think it's quite good as far as home invasion thrillers go. There is a lot of stupid things in it, which we kind of have to. I shouldn't have to with horror, but you have to kind of be like, okay, like we'll let this slide. But they're making a dumb decision because if people didn't make dumb decisions in horror movies, there wouldn't be horror movies because everyone would just run away. Like the scene where she's going to leave and she's like, you've been stabbed in the leg, and then she sees herself getting stabbed outside, and then she starts envisioning all these endings. You would just fucking run, even if you're going to die in the woods. You're like, you know what, that's my best chance. So there is a lot of things that piss me off about it. Most of all, the very end scene where she sees the police sirens coming and she smiles. And I'm like, dude, your friends just got butchered and you went through trauma. You would not be smiling right now. You would be breaking down. But I don't know how people grieve.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I sent this to Dan. It was my review on Letterboxd, but I think there's like maybe one major flaw with the script at the very end. Now, maybe she found a loophole around it, but I took him at his word. Is the fact that her neighbor's friend is like, wait, someone called the police here when he's pretending to be the police officer. And he's like, yeah, I guess like someone called the dispatcher. She goes, oh, well, this girl's like deaf and mute, so she can't do that. So you're lying, right? But then at the end of the movie, she calls the police.
She just dials 911 and leaves the phone there.
You think that
like that's a big thing because surely there's a lot of people that can't. They're in whatever situation having a heart attack. They can't be sitting chatting on the phone because they're having a heart attack. So the dispatcher knows and can find the phone. So
it'll still ping your location.
Yeah, so that was a silly scene that was more for I think as us as viewers to be like, oh, that's how he's figured it out. Okay, nice. Instead of just this random with a big neck tattoo and dressed casually is definitely police.
I guess I forgot the alarm was going off. That makes sense.
I also would say this movie should be 5 minutes. So if you live by yourself, you want to go buy a Mossberg 500, and then Hush is 5 minutes because she just shoots him through the door and he dies. So
Might not be able to shoot through
good
that
tip
door.
for
Bulletproof glass. They should have
Hush
got that.
should
in
be
the Purge.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But
Ethan Hawke's character built that house for her, so that's why it was so like nobody could
yeah,
get
it's
in.
a little Purge universe tie.
Yeah, just a little wink to the audience how good the Purge is.
It's funny, Connor, that you mentioned her front door, like the glass, because it really bothered me because you can tell that it's CGI because the glass is breaking where it's not broken yet, if that makes sense. So you have this like long strip of glass, and every time he hits it, like a section of the glass that is not broken breaks like the exact same. And it's just something that bothered me. Rather than hitting one spot, he's hitting multiple spots. That way the CGI can like act like the door, like the glass is actually breaking rather than hitting the same spot.
Yeah. I don't know why we're talking about how dumb this girl is, which is funny because like I also watched Terrifier this week, and like I mean this in the nicest way possible, but white women have to be some of the stupidest people in horror movies. The scene that pissed me off was when she was on the roof and she threw her flashlight just out into the middle of the woods. Like we are not in New York
He
City.
was in
where
plain
there's
view with him,
artificial-
dude. She's just standing above him on the roof. It was so funny. I was dying.
Yeah, but like we're not in like a city where there's artificial light and you can still see at night. We're in the middle of the fucking woods. Like you lost all your advantage there. That is your only sight that you still have left besides smell and taste.
Yeah, he also just like doesn't like. There's only one possibility of how that got there, and it's she threw it from where she's standing directly above him, and he doesn't glance up and be like, "Oh shit!" Like
That and also like there's leaves and sticks all over the ground. He would have heard the crunching and the running. So another reason he could have just looked up, like, oh, how did that light just get 100 yards away from me, or however far she threw it?
yeah,
it's definitely flawed. I don't hate it as much as you guys. But like I wouldn't rush to watch it again. I think it went through a wee like renaissance because Netflix pulled it, and then I was like, oh no, now I want to watch it now that you've taken it off. And but obviously a lot of people do love it. There's a lot of 5-star reviews and stuff on it, but it's definitely one of Mike Flanagan's weaker movies.
I think this can make a great like 15-minute short movie.
I also would say I think it just gets a little bit repetitive, and I think, like I said, the movie itself is whatever. I just think like the whole like making her deaf, like that to me, when you use that as just like literally a gimmick, you can just write a movie without dialogue. Like you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be a little bit tone deaf. I don't know, and then I also think, and this is like just a taste thing. The like a woman just gets like emotionally tortured and then like has her arms like I don't need all that. Like it's just not my favorite genre / type of movie. I just find it to be repetitive and tedious to sit through. But that's more of just like a taste thing.
Honestly, I think if this was a silent film, it would have been better. But it's not one. Like obviously she is, but then you have the guy outside going, "I'm gonna get you." I'm like, the guy is he's just like a dude, and it's just like he doesn't act smart at all. He seems like he has no plan but to kill someone. Now that might be realistic, but if you're trying to like do some high art, I'm gonna do a silent film and go with it. Obviously, I think that also causes for more thought and skill to be put into the script. Like you have to think of like what I guarantee you, as Dan has been saying, probably nobody who's actually deaf or mute was consulted on this movie. Maybe I think it's just like you think that this is how a deaf person acts, so this is what we're gonna do. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you just made like a silent film, that could have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Make it fucking black and white. I don't like. But I also understand. I mean, I understand he's, I guess, was kind of trying to get his career off the ground, and like this was, I guess, as a horror director, like home invasion thing is a pretty classic kind of stepping stone story. Oculus is supposed to be good, correct?
Like it's well liked. Again, I don't know how much you guys, not being the biggest horror fans, I don't think would like it, but it's definitely better for me. It's a lot more supernatural and thought out. I liked Absentia that came out, I assume, before that was his first
That was
movie.
his debut in 2011.
Do you like Gerald's Game?
I only recently watched that. I think it's good, but that it's very Mike Flanagan. Like okay, I know when something's Mike Flanagan now because basically it's a Stephen King book 9 times out of 10 he's adapted, which is always good and entertaining. But part of me is like, try like Midnight Mass is so good. I'm like, just write your own stuff. You don't need to do Carrie and whatever other books he's adapting for Stephen King just now. Like Stephen King could take a wee break from movies probably.
I'm curious if he like ripped this story, like was thinking about doing Gerald's Game when he made this, because there's like one scene in particular that reminded me so much of Gerald's Game. It's when you see herself talking to herself about scenarios that she's going to go through or that might happen. That exact same thing happens in Gerald's Game. The exact same thing.
Yep.
So I'm like, maybe he was just thinking about doing it back then. I don't know. Also, another thing, which is very funny because we're talking about Midnight Mass so much. Obviously, there's the thing that she is writing Midnight Mass in this movie, but it also seems like they forgot about her whole bio about being an author and trying to think of the story, because at the exact same time, that inner voice plot line, right, that she talks to herself and the whole, and like, you forget about her being a writer for a very long time until the very end. They're like, oh, here's different endings, and here's her inner voice, and then the movie's over. So
that's
I thought
why
they could have
a Stephen King book. But a Stephen King book would have hammered you over the head that he was a writer and it's based in where's all his books based in, always in the same place wherever he grows up. And she's also got like impeccable reactions as well, because like the little bit of breath on the hair, she's like, oh, and then when he fires the crossbow when she's on the roof and she like bends back and misses on, it's like, wow, like that is
It's fucking Neo right here.
I know. Author / ninja.
That's pretty funny. That was really funny. I should do that on the roof.
What do you guys have this at?
A 1.5.
I gave this 1 star.
I give it a 3 because it does have something else.
I gave it a 1.
Yeah.
Damn.
I will say, I think, from what I've watched of Mike Flanagan, I hated this. I strongly dislike Gerald's Game. I have it at 2 stars. I like Dr. Sleep a good bit. I think it's like a little bit of a mixed bag, but like really solid. And supposedly The Life of Chuck is like amazing. So I feel like he's getting better, which makes perfect sense. But I'm hoping Life of Chuck is like really something I can just be like, this is, really, I'm really into it. So looking forward
Something
to
I'm really excited about that too. I mean, I don't mind people using the same cast over and over again, but that same with Dr. Sleep is that when he has these big movies, he like branches out and actually gets different actors, which I think just makes the movies not feel the same.
Yeah.
If I'm watching the same people, talk to each other over and over again, no matter which characters they're playing, it's going to feel like very Flanagan-y, which, I mean, obviously a director should have their own style, but that shouldn't be in the people, like the actual actors that you're casting. So Tom Hiddleston, Matthew Lillard, like Karen Gillan, Mark Hamill, like these are David Desmalchian.
too.
Yeah. These are people that have like never been in his movies before.
Well,
Nick
it's
Offerman.
Karen Gillan's in Oculus.
I love her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
And David
Oh, yeah.
Desmalchian is in Life of Chuck too.
Nice.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it.
Yep.
We'll see. That comes out. But the thing is, too, which is crazy, which I've seen people say this, Neon has no idea how to market this movie. They really haven't said what it's about. And it's just, I think it's like 1-800-CALL-CHUCK or something like that. They have a billboard of it. And they're just like, they're really confused about it. But it could be an awards contender, which is why they scooped it up. But
I find that about most of Neon's marketing. If it's not, we can't call it the scariest movie ever made. We're like, what do we put out as? Because like this Hell of a Summer, I've not seen it yet, but they marketed that as like a teen slasher, and then they're like, oh wait a minute, people have seen it now, and it's not a teen slasher; it's a coming of age camp story that has a slasher element. And it's like, just market stuff how it is instead of trying to trick people into going and see your movie and then shitting on your movie so they stop trusting you. Next time you see your movie's the scariest movie ever made. But that's a whole
yeah, it's
nother
interesting
episode.
because it is a slasher, but they don't, because the budget reasons, they can't show the slashing. So I think it's like a comedy. I would say a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Just market it.
Yeah.
As that. Which
Yeah.
I think they have kind of pivoted to now. But
It's
originally it was
a
slasher.
coming of age comedy with slasher elements. But I also think like that's gonna happen. I mean, the movie Together that's coming out with Dave Franco and Alison Brie, like that is a pure comedy. Like it is a comedy, and it just there's some body horror, but like I feel like they're gonna maybe market it as like something scary, and like it's just a funny movie.
See,
It looks like they're trying to do the
comedy.
substance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to do like a substance, which the substance is not a comedy.
I think Substance is a dark comedy,
Yeah, I would say it's
like through and through.
leans into it a bit.
Oh, especially towards the end, yeah.
Like it's satire, so like I think there's humor. There's humor in a lot of it, despite the fact that it's dealing with something real, which I think is ideal for comedy.
We'll see. I'm excited for Together though.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
It's fine and good. Is that your thoughts on Vengeance?
With B. Jack Novak.
B. Jack Novak? I didn't watch The Office, man. Did you watch The Office, Brian?
Yes, yeah, multiple times. Because obviously we had
Okay.
the original here, and then you guys stole it and remade it and changed it.
As America does.
Yeah, but like a lot of the time it doesn't. It's not as successful as The Office. A lot of them get their pilot episode and people are like, "What is this? This does not translate well."
How did you like
American style.
the original Office, Brian?
Oh, I loved it. Like it's so awkward. Like you feel so uncomfortable throughout it, which I think like from this side, we always think like Americans are a bit more like sunny side and like a bit more positive. Whereas if someone says to me here, like, "How you doing?" We're like, "I'm all right." Whereas you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm great, yeah," and it's just a lot more positive outlook. Now that I've spoken to a lot more, I'm like, well, maybe that's not so true. But like the Office is really bleak and realistic. That's what the UK is like. It's all grey and drab. And then you saw the American version. It's just like, okay, it's more positive and
Goofy.
yeah, I love the American Office. So yeah. I think it's really funny.
Are you a fan of it, Dan?
Yeah. I
I'll
think
take
I think it kind of ebbs and flows with different seasons. I also Jim is one of my least favorite characters in any medium ever. I hate Jim with burning passion.
You don't find it romantic that he tried to steal a woman away from an engagement? Well, they weren't even engaged. They used to be engaged. That's what it reminds me of the Notebook. How I was like, that's the most romantic movie ever. And I was like, it starts with a guy threatening to kill himself if you don't date him. How is that romantic?
Yeah, it's pretty toxic.
Yeah, imagine getting that text. Like if somebody texts a girl, "I'm going to kill myself if you don't date me." You'd be like, yeah, he seems like the one. And maybe Ryan Gosling, go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're like the first person to share that sentiment about the Notebook with me.
No, I think we all feel the same exact way. We talked about that.
Oh yeah. But I talk to you guys on the regular. Like he's the first person outside of like you two who I've shared that thoughts with that have been like, that makes sense.
It's a very toxic story for sure.
Yes,
But it's just like it's not
cast
toxic
it to
because
an
it's Ryan
honest
Gosling.
conflict.
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
romantic. Yeah.
Yeah, they casted
the,
Ryan Gosling and Tommy, so like it worked out.
Yeah. It's like the romantic versus harassment type kind of deal. But
exactly.
Speaking of annoying characters from The Office, Ryan is quite annoying, and people always say BJ Novak was kind of playing himself, which I think he's tried to fight against. I also didn't realize he had like a crazy on and off romance with Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
Where like people say that like, you know, he's the dad of her kids and this and that. That's like a wild story, but I did not know that. But yeah, how did you guys feel about this?
It felt like Ashton Kutcher's character, the entire script written for him, was picked off of Pinterest quote boards.
It's very strange. Everything with Kutcher is very strange. It's like a lot of it is The Office, right? Because BJ Novak was a writer on The Office, so
BJ.
That's what I'm saying.
You're
I'm
saying
saying
BJ.
You keep
No,
saying
I'm not saying-
BJ.
No, I don't know.
B-Jack as well.
Okay, it's not BJ. It's I. If it came through that way, I'm sorry, but I'm saying BJ. I know it's BJ. I'm looking at it.
You're saying B Jack. You said it every single time.
BJ Novak.
There you go. Now you said J.
Okay, I don't know what was happening there. Then I'm sorry. I know it's BJ Novak.
Okay.
So, anyways, but everything with him and the family in Texas, I think kind of works. And it's just like a fun little comedy. It's interesting with the podcast element to it. I think it's a good idea for a movie. It really is. Especially like in the 2020s, everyone's starting a podcast. I mean, look where we are right now. And it's interesting also to see the corporate side of it, like him talking to Issa Rae and, him trying to pitch ideas of things that he can do because he's in New York and that's what people do in New York. I think it's very funny that he's just random friends with John Mayer at the very beginning. But then it seems like BJ is trying to be very. I mean, he wrote this and directed it, and obviously starred in it. And it is a murder mystery, but I feel like he's trying to be so unnecessarily pretentious when it comes to everything with Ashton Kutcher, and being like, "What memories do we really leave behind of ourselves, bro? Like, are you listening to her? Are you listening to a video of her voice? And then what is that voice telling you then? Like every damn time." And I'm like, it's not like that's cool in a movie, but when it's coming just from one character, that's really jarring. And there's a little bit sprinkled in throughout, but I just think that also BJ's miscast. I told Dan that at the beginning before we started recording. I don't think he should have cast himself in this. There is comedy here, but I think there's also a lot of serious moments and really intense situations, especially towards the end. And I just don't think he pulls it off. I mean, he doesn't really act, I don't think, in a whole lot of dramas. Not that this is a drama. Obviously, there's very much comedy, but
He was in a Tarantino movie, was he not? One of the war ones.
Glorious Bastards. Yeah. But even that's like his role is tongue in cheek. Like,
yeah,
it's very self-aware. This is an odd movie.
Yeah,
It's very odd. I think like I there's aspects of it I really like. I would classify the entire thing as pretentious because I think that word gets like mangled, but like what it actually means is just it thinks it's doing something that it's not.
Yes.
Like it's positioning itself in a way that's not in line with reality. And I think like part of it it's kind of hard because Ashton Kutcher, spoilers, like is the villain, and like
that's true life.
it's not like he's for sure absolute scumbag, but it's not like he's you're supposed to be listening to him and being like, yeah, this is great. But at the same time, I think there's aspects of BJ's dialogue as well that come across as a bit also pretentious and kind of like up his own ass. I think also just having yourself as this like writing yourself as this like womanizing character, like it's a bit odd, and it doesn't help the way I think he was perceived in life and in the office too. Kind of like almost reinforcing that. But there are good aspects of this. I almost felt a tiny bit of like Red Rocket, where it's kind of trying to look at Texas and look at like maybe more conservative, like, traditional family value type Americans and try to like get in touch with them and connect with them from like a liberal perspective and maybe try to dispel some of the misconceptions around those types of people and humanize them. But at the same time, it's like there's also parts that are still like really condescending towards them. And like, I mean, I'm obviously like a Democrat and all, but like I think everyone is still a person, and I think when you're trying to make a point of like you shouldn't condescend these people and acknowledge that they're real, and then you still do that in your script, it's a little off-putting.
Also, Sean Baker is he from Texas? I don't know if he's from Texas, but he gets like those rural areas of the country down pretty well when it comes to that. And then Sean, because you said Red Rocket. You said this reminded you of Red Rocket. I'm sorry, that was
Sean Baker's from like he went to NYU. I don't know where he was born, but like
oh my bad. Well, I guess the only thing is like I'm wondering because I looked up where BJ Novak is from, and he's from Massachusetts. So I don't understand why you're trying to like take a deep dive into a state that you know nothing about. I mean, Brian probably knows as much about Texas as BJ Novak does.
Yeah, so that's I think what I had very similar issues with it in that like I'm okay with like a fish out of water. Like, oh, you're a city boy and you're now suddenly in the deep south, and you're like, oh god, it's going to be like all rednecks and stuff, because that's how it's all been portrayed to me, and like the UK and US media, that's how it comes across as being like that. But I'm very sure, like reading books and stuff that have characters from the south, like they're all really warm and like will be like family to you just for even maybe 20 minutes that they speak to you. And I'm like, that's how I see people in the south. Yeah, there's political differences and all this kind of stuff, but as Dan says, they are still people at the end of the day. They'll still be nice to you. And it annoyed me that BJ was kind of like, oh, these people suck. And it's like, but you don't know anything about them. You've got a preconceived notion for no reason at all. Like you live in New York as well. Is it New York at the start? I think it must be.
Yeah.
Or it's a big city, a cosmopolitan city anyway. And like you must meet people that are from the south. It's not like people that are from the south never go to the cities. Do they just suddenly change their character? But it's frustrating that like it's like caricatures of them, and it's like it's not a nice way of doing it. And he doesn't seem to learn, which is annoying, because even when they come to the hospital after the car explodes and he comes out and they're all waiting, and I was like, oh fuck, I actually got emotional. I was like, oh, that's so nice that they've not as family, but they've been there for him. They're like, oh, we are family. And then he just kind of throws that all away later as well. It's like, why? I agree, he's miscast. Like if somebody with a bit more, like I was trying to think who would be better in it, and I thought maybe like Steve Carell from 20 years ago, or because he could do the comedy a bit better. I don't think BJ Novak nailed the comedy bits of this.
We said Ryan Gosling would have done this excellently. We talked about Ryan Gosling, but
yeah, or maybe John Hamm, because at least you could be like, okay, he's a womanizer because he's John Hamm. Of course he is. But yeah, BJ Novak, it just didn't feel natural. I did like the twist at the end where it was like she was acting like she was his girlfriend and they were in love, but really she wasn't messaging him at all. She was just leading the family along, and I was like, okay, I didn't see that coming, if I'm honest. But
that was a good twist.
Yeah, it's just it was quite like I wasn't mad I watched it. I thought it was like good, but there was a lot that I was like,
it could have been a lot better.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like it didn't quite, like it tries to do so many different things and it tries to address so many different topics. And I understand. I will say, to push back a little bit in his defense, he was working on this for like years. Like he was going to Texas over and over again from 2015 to 2018, like because he wanted to make this story. It's like I wouldn't say it's fully like sympathetic to the people he's dealing with. I also wouldn't say it's fully critiquing them, because he does make the point, like, I think what you're supposed to see from the character is he also has a lot of like self-loathing, and he comes to understand like the flaws in his lifestyle and like who he is, and that like that's part of what's pissing him off, and it all comes out in that scene outside the Whataburger when it kind of blows up. And I think it is portrayed that he's being a dick, but at the same time, like he is partially justified in what he's saying, and it does kind of paint it that way. So it's weird where it's like kind of down the middle in a lot of different ways, and it ends up feeling more like safe than anything else. And I kind of wish he would have had something a little bitier to say. I don't know. Stone, what do you kind of feel about what it has to say?
I don't know. It's just, here's the thing. It's tough. Is I don't like being told what the message of a movie is. I want to understand it for myself. But the problem is I can't get that here because he's podcasting. So he's like talking to himself, be like, maybe the story all along is not the story that we thought. Maybe it's the one doing the story. Maybe it's I'm the story. And that's really fucking disappointing. What a lame ass story. I hate this story. Like, I'm like, okay, damn, I get it. Like, what are we doing here? What is the movie about? Like, yeah, it's just a pretentious guy from New York that's coming to Texas and gets humbled by the people down there. On the surface, I mean, really, it's not that special. And this movie thinks it's more special than it is. And it doesn't need to be. Like, the fluff that you're adding, it's nothing. Like, I don't think it really adds anything to a goofy murder mystery podcast comedy. Like, you don't need this in here. Like, why would you? I would have chosen a way more serious tone for this movie if he really wanted to say what he's saying during the monologues of Ashton Kutcher. But the problem is, it's BJ Novak. He doesn't write that way. So you can't have that, but he's trying to. You cannot tonally have a serious movie, I think, when it comes from BJ Novak's writing.
Yeah, I think you'd be better served him just writing a comedy and maybe taking out the murder aspect and all that, or just making this dark and serious and like more of a thriller. I feel like it's too down the middle. Did you like it, Stone? Because you gave it 3.5, right? So like, what did you like
I,
about it? You're
I do. I thought no.
crashing
No,
out.
I thought the comedy was a good. I liked the comedy. Another plot twist that really got me was I thought that it was funny. I did think that the car blowing up had something to do with her murder, but I like that they're like, no, it's because you like cheered on Texas. I thought that was really funny. I'm a big fan of Whataburger, so I thought the Whataburger stuff was really funny, and that's kind of how people who like Whataburger talk about Whataburger, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I thought everything with Issa Rae. I mean, I'm talking about positives. Everything with Issa Rae. I mean, is it Issa Rae? Issa Rae or Issa?
Issa, I think.
Issa Rae is. I mean, she has to be there. It's just scenes that I really don't care about that much. I'm trying to think of positives. It was also a shock to me that he, spoiler, kills Ashton Kutcher at the end. Like, this movie shocked me towards the end. There's like things that happen with the character. I love that he deleted everything. I mean, maybe that seems quite obvious, but it wasn't to me. And I also like Boyd Holbrook a whole lot. So seeing him in this, and I don't necessarily, I'm trying to think. I love Boyd Holbrook, and I don't think I've seen him in a whole lot of comedies. And I just think he's such an underrated actor that seeing him in a different genre was really refreshing, and he nailed it just because I think he's so talented. Also, I thought Dove Cameron actually did a really solid job as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, the acting's fine besides Kutcher and Novak. I mean, I just can't stand Ashton Kutcher's character, so I can't. It just automatically makes me think that his acting is poor because the character's poor.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it could have done with the family fleshing out a little bit, other than this daughter wants to be an actress or some she just wants to be famous, and that was her character. It's like, okay, cool, nothing to her. She walks into the room once, and then the next day someone else walks into the bedroom, and it's like flesh them out a little bit. Like you clearly know how to write, so make me care for people other than the mum and Boyd Holbrook. They've done two that really had fleshed out a little bit, which is frustrating me.
It does. I mean, it is. It also is a debut, so like, I get that, and it does make me curious about what he does next. I guess. Like, there's definitely something to build on, but it is a very mixed bag, and I think like a lot of the quips and like one-liner jokes I thought were funny, and then other times they just feel forced. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. I didn't know this existed until we were looking at this stuff. So
There's good parts to it. Like, there's really smart parts to it. There's just he's trying to say more than he needs to. Like, the fact that these crimes are happening in the center of other departments' jurisdictions, so everyone's like brushing it off to each other. That's really smart for a murder mystery. I thought that was really clever, and then
very realistic too. Like, a lot of shit
exactly
gets ignored because people don't want to be bothered. So,
and then another thing too, which I thought was also another good plot twist. Like, there's 3 or 4 good plot twists that I just wasn't expecting. Was the fact that she did have a drug abuse problem, and that her whole family was hiding it. Like, the siblings were all hiding it from her. Like, literally everyone knew about it, except I think the mother, and they're just don't want to admit it because they didn't want to think of their sister actually dying from that way. And they just think this guy's pretty interesting, and they just want him to be a part of their life. Now, saying that, it does make me portray them as just dumb Texas hillbillies, where it's like, man, this guy from the city's really, really funny. Let's keep him around and just lie to him. I don't think they would really do that, but
I still would recommend the movie to people. I had a good time watching it. It's like I did laugh a few times, and I did get emotional when the scene with the like we're your family. I was like, oh, that's nice, like, because he doesn't have that clearly back at home. But it's just they missed something. It's good, not great. Like, it was a nice enough watch, but I don't think I would revisit it.
yeah.
BJ just needs to make a comedy. Like, you can say on the surface this is a comedy, but there's so much, I keep on using this word, fluff in here that he's trying to say that it doesn't need to be here. I can't say that enough. It would have been way better if he just cut all that out. Honestly, cut out Ashton Kutcher's character, make it someone else. I don't care who, but would have added so much.
I think they just stripped out the whole podcast bit and just been like, okay, I'm going down there because they made me feel guilty about it, and it's just he's like, oh, it was a murder, and he's like, okay, I'm going to hang around. But the podcast element felt weird because I was like, okay, they were like, oh, this is amazing, we're going to broadcast. I'm like, who is listening to this podcast? Because honestly, it sounds awful. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
I like
interesting at all.
that. I like it, but I don't like him talking to himself, and I would rather him not talk to himself than get the podcast element, if that makes sense. I like the interesting, like there is a bunch of weird ass podcasts out there about true crime that people just, I mean, people eat up true crime all the time.
Sure.
So listening to a podcast of actually someone solving a murder, I think people would tune in for that. But I can't take now I don't really know what this is about life or what it is about Texas that I just find so endearing. And I just feel like I'm finding myself in myself. And I don't know if myself likes that about myself. And I'm just like, shut up. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, and it kind of tries to like touch on like the true crime stuff, and it kind of tries to like touch on like critiquing his like dating lifestyle and like how like shallow and hollow and like unfulfilling that is. Like he doesn't really go into anything that it tries to do. So
Too much.
it's and I feel like we've said it all. It's fun. It's a fine movie.
I still got 3.5 though. What do you rate it, Brian?
I would probably say 3.5 as well. Like it's definitely the best Blumhouse movie we watched for this.
Yeah, I'm floating around a 3, maybe 2.5. But like, there's 2.5s that I like. You know, it's just I'm not really gonna think about it again, but I'm glad I watched it.
How did you figure out this was Blumhouse? Like, what did you search?
I just looked at the list of their movies.
What was the second option?
Uh,
Do you remember?
I mean, like Blumhouse does have some absolute bangers as well. Like
I
Get
said
Out
the
and
two that I
things.
think of right away. I think they produced Whiplash. I'm almost positive they produced Whiplash, and then a big one is Get Out. I mean, but that's a horror movie.
I thought about Have you seen The Bay, Brian?
Yes, I love The Bay.
Is it good?
So I was going to actually choose that as my selection because it is a found footage movie, but it's directed by Barry Levinson, which is director of Rain Man. So it's a very well done found footage film, but it's still a found footage film. But it has like a decent political message behind it, I guess. So I love it. I managed to get other people in horror talk to watch it, and they all seem to love it, but I'm not sure how non-horror fans would like it.
Yeah, I thought about that. I think I will watch it. It looks cool.
You're not
Also,
gonna watch the Purge Anarchy?
No, I'm purging myself of the Purge. Also, is Dark Skies good, Brian?
It's what, sorry?
Dark Skies. You seen that?
Is that the alien one?
I think so.
Alien
I
abduction
remember
one?
that one.
Yeah.
I think I saw when it first came out. I think it was okay. Nothing. The girl from The Americans is in it, I'm sure. Can't remember.
Carrie Russell.
Yes. Yeah. Her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remembered it. Never watched it again. So probably nothing spectacular.
Gotcha.
I wonder what are considered the best Blumhouse movies, because it was funny. I was looking it up, and we're talking about the fact that in theaters a lot there's like nothing but sequels and prequels and reboots and all this. It's very funny because I think a lot of times we look at horror as being like the only place maybe that really original movies can shine through and actually break through and have some decent success. I mean, we saw that last year with Longlegs. But it's funny because originally they delayed one, but Blumhouse was going to release 4 different sequels for the rest of the year, because they released Wolfman, Woman in the Yard, Drop, and there's one other movie I'm forgetting about. Maybe it's just those 3 they've released so far this year.
That's all they've done this year so far.
Yeah, but then you have Megan 2. You did have Insidious 6, but they delayed Insidious 6 to next year. And then you have The Black Phone 2 and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So they're sequeling it up too, and I'm telling you, I think Megan's gonna make a lot of money. They've increased the budget a lot on it too, so maybe too much. But then Five Nights at Freddy's is gonna make a shit ton of money, like it made last year or 2 years ago. And now that movie is ass.
Yeah, like you should do a double episode of that in Minecraft. Maybe you guys play Minecraft, but it'd be interesting to see how you take it. Like Megan was very okay. bad to okay, I would say.
I think Megan, the funny moments in Megan, holy shit, they were so funny. Like when that movie accepted the fact that it was just a meme and like was having fun, I loved it. And then when it tried to be like a serious, not serious, like slasher, I was like, ah man, this is just like be ridiculous. Like it's an absurd concept. I loved all the satire. I thought it was really funny in moments, and then at other times, just like that movie really frustrated me.
They're definitely leaning into it more with 2. It seems like they're going the T2 route of, okay, Megan's the good guy now, and she's going to stop the other evil AI robot that's exactly like her but more advanced. And I'd be fine if it goes goofy, because it should be marketed towards PG-13.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's probably make more money. But Blumhouse also has the Mike Flanagan's Exorcist now in 2026, and they have a Mummy movie in 2026.
Oh yeah, actually sounds decent. The Mummy one. Lee Cronin, I think's directing it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then something called Soulmate from Katie Dolan.
That's a spin-off of Megan.
Okay. Great. Erotic thriller. So I guess it'll be like a sex robot type movie.
Great.
And I like the Black Phone, man. I understand some people don't like it. I freaking really liked that movie. I thought it was awesome.
I rewatched it because Chuck frequently says he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I remember kind of liking it. So I rewatched it and I was like, no, this has got a lot of good stuff to it. Like it redeems Ethan Hawke from some of the bad choices he's made with Blumhouse, aka The Purge.
Yeah, man, I enjoy it.
I'm looking at
it for the second one. It's going to be more like Freddy, where he can kind of get you, but he's not alive now. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
supernatural.
I'm down with it.
I didn't realize this. Basically, the consensus for the number 1 Blumhouse movie is Get Out, and the consensus for the number 2 is Megan, which is wild. I'm looking at their top movies though, and it's not a good list. The Invisible Man is also always thrown at the top. The new Invisible Man.
I like that. I thought it was a good film.
But then Unfriended, which I actually heard was pretty good. That's like not found footage, but it's like the screen.
So it's like
Screen
this,
light.
but we're just watching ourselves instead.
Paranormal Activity, Happy Death Day, The Purge election year, The Visit, which I like The Visit. We like The Visit.
So
we talked about one of the best M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Every time Dan has a rant about M. Night, I'm one in the comments be like, no, M. Night's underappreciated. You guys just don't get it.
Yeah, Dan, we're gonna get ridiculed about Hush.
I like The Visit a lot.
The Hush has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, man, not for me. I know people like it though.
Five Nights at Freddy, it's at number 5. Like, are they factoring in budget or like box office draw? Like, what the? Are you kidding me?
I wouldn't
Exorcist Believer at 25. Exorcist Believer should be in the dirt. Night Swim. What are we doing?
What are you looking at?
Let me see here. The Collider's list of top 25 Blumhouse horror movies ranked.
Not to be fair,
Here's what
Collider are very clickbaity, so they'll be like, look at this awful movie we've put at number 1.
Yeah.
Everybody comment how bad it is.
I mean, if I put one piece of shit next to another piece of shit, you're gonna have to say one is better. So,
but I think like I liked their business model of, okay, you're a small indie movie maker. Here's money. Show me what you've got. I'm going to put it out, even if it's kind of crap, like Truth or Dare or Countdown. But we'll give it an audience, and it'll probably still make your money back because it's got my name on it. But
I agree, because it
also
also
more adventurous with it.
It allows the creatives to be like have more freedom, which is good. It allows them to do, because there's not a lot of, you know, the studio or the production company, Blumhouse, doesn't get a lot of blowback if they fail because they didn't put a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
I don't imagine they'll have had many movies that are in the negative. I imagine everything's made money, apart from maybe The Exorcist, because I think they had to buy the license for that, which was probably not cheap.
I wanted to say too, when we were talking about The Purge, how they do that a lot of times, they don't give their star a lot of money. They only gave Ethan Hawke $10,000 for The Purge, and then if it does well, he gets the payback on the other end.
So that's the way to do it, because the Paranormal Activity guys, like, I don't know if you've still got your laptop there, but the money the Paranormal team must have made, I think it was made for tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, and it made 100 million or something. So
crazy.
Yeah, set for life. And people hate that. Like, I'm constantly defending that because I'm like, this movie is sort of like it was made for me, because obviously a big part of my username came from that movie, and it's just like, but then people like it's shit is born. I'm like, no, you're just not understanding it like I do. But
I think the first movie is fine. I don't like the sequels. I think are kind of rough, but the first one's cool.
Dan, are you excited for? I have to ask you, are you excited for T2 Megan 2.0? Have you seen the trailers for that?
Yeah, I'm just kind of down the middle. Like I said, like I like Megan when it was being funny and goofy and satirical. Like,
Did you see she's flying through the air, got a glider?
yeah, I want just like pure comedy. Like that's what I'm looking for. So we'll see.
I think they're gonna do it. We'll see. But Brian, we like to ask people at the end of the episode if they have a movie they want to recommend. That maybe it's one you've seen recently that you really liked, or one that you think's underseen that you would want to recommend to people.
well, I'll keep it on topic, and I think more people should watch The Bay because it's one of the very few found footage films that has like an established name. Because I think he's Oscar winner, Barry Levinson. So I think more people should watch it. It has a good concept that there's something in the water and it's infecting people and it's turning them bad. And like you get the angles with the CDC and how they try to cope with it. And I think like it's like a lot of parallels to how the pandemic was handled. So I think the Bay is good. And it's got some like really original jump scares. Don't watch the trailer because it gives away one of the main ones, but like it's just like it gets me. Like, I've posted it on my page probably, so maybe don't watch any stuff on my page either. But it's good. It's a really good movie that most people I think enjoy. It's maybe a little silly, but overall it's really good, I think.
I say out of all three of these movies that we discussed today, the most reaction any of these got on me was when I saw John Mayer in the first 1 second of Vengeance. I was like, what the hell's what is he doing here?
So he was just himself, wasn't he? He wasn't playing a character.
Yes.
He was, okay. Wonder if they pitched that to him. Like, we're going to have you come in and tell everyone what a womanizer you are, and like you don't even put their names down in your phone. You just go by a trait. And you'd be like, oh,
the
yeah,
world already knew that with John Mayer, but
right, okay, fair enough.
You got one, Dan? You want me to go?
I watched just watched Platoon yesterday. It's on Tubi. If you haven't watched Platoon, please just watch it. I think we talked about Warfare this morning. I just think it's just special seeing I mean, Oliver Stone dropped out of Yale basically to enlist to go fight in Vietnam, and then I think he won a Bronze Star. He was wounded multiple times. He was basically treated like a hero, and I think to come back and then make a movie about how you're not a hero and about the reality of that war is like very close to the war, like chronologically, I think was a pretty brave thing to do and very real. And I just think Vietnam was just such a ridiculous waste of lives. And I think, we talked about the number of veterans, 6,500 veterans a year take their life. Basically all those people the majority are from Vietnam. It's a lot of older guys that are still doing that from that war, in addition to the people from the Middle East. So I think it was just a terrible war. I think it's probably the best portrayal of it in film. So you've probably seen it, but if you haven't seen it, give it a watch on Tubi.
Maybe people have seen mine. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's streaming at. I'll have to look it up. But I actually got this from Brandon, mutual friend of ours. Brandon Talks Movies made a video about this film, and basically just said, "Why doesn't anybody talk about this? It's a very good action adventure movie, directed by one of the, if not the greatest film director of all time, possibly in some people's opinions. But The Adventures of Tintin by Steven Spielberg." Really good movie. I know it's derived from or adapted from a series of books, and I think this one was something, The Boat of the Unicorn or something like that is the name of the actual novel that the movie was based off of. But the motion capture work, he said who specifically the artist was, or the production company behind all the visual effects in it. But I'm a big fan of motion capture work when it's not creepy. You got Robert Zemeckis, who was doing motion capture around this time with like Beowulf, and some people like Beowulf's motion capture. I'm not a fan of it, but when you compare it to The Adventures of Tintin, it's just like night and day. What what people will say about this movie is very true. It's probably the most match cutty movie of all time. Possibly. There's so many times that Spielberg combines like it's like you're seeing the ocean, and then all of a sudden the ocean, you zoom out, and the ocean becomes like with a boat in it, becomes like a puddle, and somebody's like stepping through it, and they like keep on walking. He does that like 50 times in this movie, and I'm a sucker for it. Andy Serkis, the same person who did the motion capture for the Planet of the Apes movies, is also doing the motion capture here. So that'll just tell you not only why he's not only tell you why he's in this movie, but also the level of expertise the motion capture work's doing. But then also, big surprise for me was that Daniel Craig actually does the voice work and I guess the motion capture work for the villain in this. And I don't know if I've ever seen him do any voice acting before, but he's really good at it. And he really surprised me. And it feels like Indiana Jones, but for kids. And it's funny that the Minecraft movie came out and they're like, hey man, this movie's for kids. Like, doesn't matter how good it is. I'm like, movies for children can be good movies. Like there's a scene in this. I mean, it's annoying not filmmaking, like I'm a filmmaker, but I saw tweeted that nobody cares about this shit, but I do. There's like a one take that lasts for like 4 or 5 minutes in this movie, a kid's movie. The scene just keeps on going. It's incredible to watch. It's like a motorcycle chase. And I think, kids deserve to see something like that. But yeah. Also, Tintin looks like he's 14. He's an adult, by the way, if you ever go check this out.
I thought he was a child.
Yeah, because he's like living in his own apartment. I was like, is this a child? But no, he's just a small looking human. Fun fact.
But watch that.
Yeah, but Brian, have you ever watched it, Dan?
No.
Yeah, it's really solid. I said definitely one of Spielberg's most overlooked movies, probably. But Brian, appreciate your first time appearance on Good Will Podcasting. Hope it was good for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, how many more movies are you gonna watch today?
I've already put out my weekly here's all the best stuff I watched this week post, so I might just watch. The Last of Us starts again tonight, so I'm going to watch the last few episodes of that to remind myself what happened, because my ADHD brain, if I don't have a previously on in every episode, I've forgotten what happened. So yeah.
Did you play the games?
I played the first one about halfway through, and then I was like, I am terrible at this game, so I ended up watching someone else play it on YouTube because I'm just not good at it at all.
All right, no spoilers, but do you know what happens in the second game?
No idea.
Okay. Interesting stuff coming. I'm excited. Do you know, Dan?
No, I'm convincing myself now.
Good. And you watched the first season of Last of Us, right? Yeah. Pedro Pascal, man. I mean, I forgot that he's going to be in Eddington too, the Ari Aster movie. Just everywhere. Literally everywhere.
He's putting in work because it's in a movie that's out at the cinema just now. I'm sure that nobody's going to watch Freaky Tales.
Freaky Tales. I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of good reviews, but no one's watching it for some reason because of an anthology, I guess. But
Lionsgate's just like, whoops, we're just going to drop this on streaming in a week.
Garbage Factory, Lionsgate.
Yeah.
But anyways, Brian, if you want to tell people where they can find you, hopefully if you're listening to the end of this conversation, you enjoyed having Brian on. Funnier than I was expecting. Not that you're not a funny guy, but you're hilarious, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I am. When I started my TikTok, I was like, I'm just going to go on and be goofy because, funnily, my inspiration for starting going on camera was Gunsh. Is now Junsh. So I don't know if it was you, Dan, that posted one of his videos or vice versa. So I found him through you or you through him. But like he was just goofy, and like when he was doing movie reviews, he wasn't taking it seriously. And I was like, fuck, I could do that. And then I went on, I got really self-conscious. I was like, no, because people won't find this funny. So I'm just going to do stupid 1 minute talking about it. And I'm like, man, I wish I had done goofy stuff because
you can always go back, Brian. You can always
true. Like humor's so difficult to get across, especially because my audience is very American now. And I'm like, will they get that I'm joking, or will they think that I'm being really serious with this stuff? And it's a thin line sometimes.
It's also a personal thing, like putting something goofy out there. Like,
yes.
I get that.
So that's why I like doing the podcast, which obviously you can find us there. Dark Screen Society is probably the best place to find us. It's having somebody to play off so I can joke around with and bully GG and stuff, because that's more fun than just trying to do it to yourself. Trying to like speak to a camera and be funny is very difficult to do when it's just you, because it's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to apologize. I'm shocked by how funny you are.
I did not take offense to that. We've not had a lot of conversations out with us like text.
I said when I said that, I looked down and Dan's like, "What do you, what do you say here?"
I
But
did not take offense, but
okay, well, I appreciate you being on, man. But next week, which is going to be very interesting, we're going to discuss the Twilight Saga.
ooh.
So if you're a big fan, Brian,
I was forced to watch the first few because of the girlfriend I was with at the time. Who's your guest for it?
don't know
somebody somebody
Yeah,
from Book Talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Take
am,
a different angle there.
Are you fans of it?
I watched the
think-
first movie last night for the first time,
Okay.
and all I can say, I really dug it. I'm really into I like 2000s pop punk music, and that just felt like a whole movie of it,
Yeah,
and I'm kind of down with that. Also, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, we know, are not bad actors.
No.
So whatever they're doing in these movies, they're purposely doing that, right? So I have to look at it from that
direction,
angle.
Yeah, like that's definitely a director's choice because I wouldn't watch when movies were coming out after with sort of starring Robert Pattinson or Kirsten Stewart. Like, I'm not going to watch Underwater where she's the lead because she's awful in Twilight, and Adventureland she's not very good either. I think she plays pretty much the same character as Bella, and I was like, she's just not a very good actress. And I was like, fuck, I'm so wrong. She's such a good actress, and he's phenomenal as well. So yeah, Twilight almost ruined their careers, I think. But
Yeah. Yeah, Pattinson clashed apparently a lot with the direct. Like, he had all these ideas about like what he wanted to do with the character and this and that, and like all this crazy stuff. And they were like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Catherine
What?
Hardwicke, the first director.
yeah, yeah. He had
Okay.
a big. It was a whole to do with what he wanted to do with the character and all. But
So I'm really scared to get to New Moon though, because the first movie is so stylized that it feels like one director's like true vision. That the second movie and the rest of the movies they did away with her. So I'm very curious because I feel like it's gonna be way more franchisable after this first movie. So I'm scared to get to the second one, but
I am
seen
going
that.
to watch to see like what team you end up on if you're Team Edward or a team. I can't even remember his name now.
Jacob,
Jacob.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to see what team you land on.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen all of them at one point or another. I think they're really fucking funny. Like they're funny. It's a funny story, but also like really messed up. But it'll be a fun episode, I think.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in because I want to see. Because I'm not a fan of them, but I don't hate them like a lot of people do.
They're just goofy. Like they're
Yeah.
yeah.
the baseball scene is good, and I do like when the fan was blowing and her smell comes to him and he goes, "Oh," it's really funny. And then horror fans, if you're here listening to Brian, we are talking about Sinners. We're going to post a review of Sinners next week, which I'm so pumped about. When are you seeing that, Dan? I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yep.
All right, Ryan Coogler, the video of him talking about film that went viral. Dude, his accent is sexy as hell. I wish I sounded like that. I'm annoying as hell compared to him.
Yeah, I love Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. They're just a dream team. Like I would be happy with them working together forever. So I'm hyped to see that.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld's whatever. Nothing special. But anyways, yeah, appreciate everyone listening to us. Please go check out Brian on all his all of his accounts, but also Dark Screen Society, a bunch of friends over there. Tune in, really, if you love horror. Those are the guys to tune into. But until then, until next week, until Sinners, until Twilight, until Bella, Edward, and Jacob, go outside, sit on a park bench, touch some grass. Call up your friends, and we'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.